Okay, we're now going to look at example number 2, which is rules for similar book purchases. So we have a Charles Book Club.csv file. We'll read the data from that data file, and that data file contains 4,000 transactions, not 2,000, and there are 11 different types of books that we're going to be looking at, and these are the books. Okay, and when in the textbook, okay, when they run the code, they are not including the child books. So it starts from only youth books to Florence. So we'll follow the same thing. I don't know why they didn't include child book. Maybe because it's kind of so different from all the other books, I guess. So we will drop child books. We'll start from youth books all the way to Florence. Okay, so let's first read the data set in read.csv Charles Book Club.csv. Okay. Read that in, and if you look at the data set and you see it has a sequence number, an ID, gender, and MRF. I don't know what they are. First purchase. Okay, so 7, column number 7, 1 through 7 is they are not about the books that are being bought. Now 8 is the children's book, and it goes all the way through. 18 is the Florence. Okay, and then there are some more data columns. Okay, that they are not about books, so we don't want them. So we want only child book is 8. Okay, so 9. So 9 is where we're going to start. So column 9 through 18. Okay, so we need to strip those columns and let's put them in count books.df. So that will be all books.df, and we want all the rows and only columns 9 through 18. So your textbook actually says 8 through 18, and then once that is done, then they get rid of the first column. See, I don't know what they're trying to do there. So we will skip that part and then say we get rid of the child column, children's book column at this point itself. So you run that and then you see the count books. So here each column this is not an incidence matrix because there are some numbers which are larger than 1. Okay, so how many copies did they buy? Okay, or how many different titles within that category they bought. But what we want when we run the association rules is an incidence matrix. So if they didn't buy anything, then you want a 0, and if they bought one or more titles, then we want a 1 there. So this should be, okay, we'll call it incidence or incid.books.df. Okay, so now how do we convert the values to an incidence matrix? So if it is 0, then it is 0. Otherwise, it should be a 1, right? So that's if else. If else. Okay. So what is the condition? Count books.df. Okay. If it is greater than 0, then 1, otherwise 0. Okay. So now the incidence books.df, it has only zeros and ones. Okay, now we need to convert this into a matrix. So insid dot books dot mat and say as matrix insid dot df. Okay, so now we have the data prepared. Now we can generate the rules. So the last line of code, let me transfer that. Here and that line here. So we create a binary incidence matrix, and then we convert it into matrix. So we create a binary incidence data frame, and then we are converting it into a matrix. Okay, once we have the incidence data as a matrix, okay, then we can develop the transactions first. We have to convert the incidence matrix into a transaction, and we use the as function for that. So we say incident matrix, okay, and then class equal to transactions. Okay, so you run that, then you get the books trans. Okay, we can then say inspect, if you want to look at it, inspect books trans. Okay, so then you end up getting 4,000. So you really don't want all the 4,000. So if you want to just look at the top few, then you say head, and that will give you the top 6. Okay, there you go. All right. Now if you want item frequency plot, we can then say item frequency plot books transaction, and when you run that, you get the books and the relative frequency. Okay, now that we have the transactions prepared, now we can run the a priori function and generate the rules. So we get books rules, okay, a priori, okay, books.trans, those are the transactions, and then we give the parameter equal to, and in a list you can specify what the parameters are. So we want support equal to minimum support. Your textbook says they want minimum support of 200, I believe. Okay, so one minimum support of 200 transactions. So there are totally 4,000 transactions. So we want the rules to have at least 200 transactions. So that means support is 200 or 4,000. You have to specify this as a fraction, not as a number. So 200 out of 4,000. And then confidence. Okay, so we want 0.5, and then target equal to rules. Now that creates our rules. Now suppose we want to look at the rules sorted by lift. So we can say inspect and say we want to look at only the top few. Then sort books dot rules comma by equal to lift. Now that will sort the rules by lift, okay, and then print only the top 6 of them. Okay, you see the lift is here, okay, and then we have the confidence. Support and all that. Okay, and suppose we want to set up you want to look at the rules that satisfy some conditions like what we have here. So we're going to capture the rules. So books dot rules dot table. Okay, so we'll put them in the table. Books dot inspect books dot rules. Okay, so inspect books dot rules. So that will put the rules in a table format. Okay, right there, and then we can then say let's look at the rules by books dot rules table. Okay, so we want say lift of at least 2 and books dot rules dot table say confidence of at least say 0.7. Okay, so now this two pair of rules, okay, both of them must be true for the rows to be selected, and then we say comma and leave the rest blank, so which means all the columns. You run that, then you get just one rule that satisfies this condition of lift being greater than 2 and confidence being greater than 0.7. Okay. So you want to change that to say 0.6 and run. So then again you still get only 2. Suppose we instead of and we change that to an or, then you get bunch of rules because either one of those conditions is what we are looking for. Okay. So in summary, then if you have a data set that contains purchases and other data, then you have to pick out only the columns that represent the purchases in a given transaction, convert that into an incident matrix. Okay, so you have to convert that into an incidence table and then convert it into a matrix. Actually, these two can be combined into one one line of code. So you can say as matrix and then put the if else code inside that. Then in one line you can achieve both steps of converting to zeros and ones and then converting the whole thing into a matrix. So once you have that incidence matrix, then there are two more steps. One is, the first of the two steps is to convert the incidence matrix into transaction sets. And once you have the transaction sets, then we run the a priori function to generate the rules with target equal to rules.